Okay, today's video we're going to talk about customer lists and how you can use customer lists in Google Ads to make a pile more money than you're making right now with Google Ads. Presumably if you're already making money with Google Ads. If you're not making money, this can certainly get you a position where you could start making your first actual profit, i.e. money left over after ad spend and all your other costs. Now, I will also want to say straight up, right before we get into anything here, what you'll typically find in other videos about customer lists or customer match lists as they're called, is the dorky bullshit that it's not going to actually help you make any money. Oh, customer lists are great, just upload them to your account and then you can start using them. Total worthless bullshit information. This is real information that's going to help you make money no matter what, in addition to what you're making, like I said, or in general, and just doesn't have anything to do, even if you have no customers at all. Yes, I said it, even if you have no customers at all, because other people are using the customer list feature to upload other email lists, of the competitor lists, of people that buy other things that normally when you buy product A, you normally are very likely to buy product B, uploading product list, customer list who buys product A that you don't have but somebody in your market has, an indirect competitor or whatnot, to then sell to and make profitable ads from your product B. Uploading lists of people that are wealthy, since you can't necessarily easily do that in Google Ads. Uploading lists of people who have had a certain life event, such as they were in a car accident if you're a personal injury lawyer. This is all stuff going on that you probably didn't know about that you can use to make money using these customer lists, and that you're not going to hear other people talking about because it's technically gray area stuff. It's not illegal, it's just, well, I'll get into the details on the later part of this video and you'll see and hear for yourself. That said, I will go over the regular customer list stuff and then also go into using the customer list feature to make money with other types of lists as well. That technically is a little poo-pooed by Google, but other people are doing it and making a lot of money. And if you're the one willing to do it in your market, you could be able to make all that extra money. And maybe you do it with your own separate account, which a lot of these other people are actually doing. So with that said, I'll get into the content. Google likes it when you upload your customer list to begin with on Google Ads. They made this customer list feature mainly to help Google, not so much yourself. Surprise, surprise, like all of Google's other updates in the recent past. The reason why they want you to upload your customer list, by the way, is two primary reasons here. This is not documented, but I'm not a dummy here. I can confidently communicate these two things to you, which of course I'm sure you'll understand. First of which, the reason A, why Google wants you to upload your customer list to your Google Ads account is because they have more free data. You upload your customer list to Google, guess what? Google has your customer list now. Now, your competitors who want to sell to your customers, they can whore out your customer list to your competitor who wants to make money. So do you want to give Google that free data? If you're making enough money off of it, surely the pros outweigh the cons. But just keep that in mind. Google, it's no secret that Google makes their money through data acquisition, selling data to other people, buying data from other people, then they can then use to sell consumer buying predictions to you as the advertiser that wants to sell to people on their platform and on the display network, YouTube, and on and on. So of course they're going to use your damn customer data to make more money, because that's their whole entire business is based upon selling data and using data. Secondly, the reason why they want you to upload your sacred customer list is because they can make your conversion numbers look a hell of a lot better than they are normally otherwise if they have your customer list. Why? Because they can, instead of using your budget that you want to use to get new customers, they primarily use it to get more sales from your existing customers instead. And if you're, by the way, running a PMAX campaign, that PMAX campaign is the worst of them all. You upload your customer list, that in almost your entire PMAX budget is going to be spent going after your current customer list when they Google you, when on the Google Display Network, on YouTube, on Gmail, and so forth, because that's the easy pickings to get you a return. So the return might look great. You run your PMAX campaign. Wow, Google's so good. I love my investment into Google ads. And really all they're doing is just selling your shit to the customers you already have, which can be obviously not all bad, but I think you will agree with me that if your ads primarily just show up when somebody types in your brand name in Google search, and then they have your ad show up, and then they click your ad and then they buy, because it's already a customer, they're highly, 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 highly likely to buy in that situation, because they've already bought from you before, and they're typing in your brand name into Google on top of it, that they're going to get you like a 50x ROI for that type of situation. And then they can mix in a bunch of the other shitty traffic that doesn't convert, but because they got to a 50x ROI on the most easiest to acquire customers here, and then they mix in some of the bad traffic that nobody else wants, they can actually do pretty well for themselves. Makes the numbers look better than what they normally would have been if they were forced to go after find new customers for you. So, or at least just people that are typing in your brand name, which, by the way, that's the reason why I don't like PMAX campaigns to start with. Outside of running shopping ads more efficient, you don't use PMAX for anything, because it's going to, heavily, we run brand campaigns, but it's going to heavily skew towards brand searches that you show up for, even though you can get that shut off, technically, which I talk about in other videos, and people that you've already dealt with and is already a customer, that through the email list you give them, the customer list that you give them, or through the tracking, they notice buy, and then know your customer that way. So something to chew on up front. But of course, you should want to sell to your customers anyway, and exploit that customer list you have to the fullest freaking extent you can, because that is the lowest hanging fruit in your business. I don't care, you got to get a lot of clients that we deal with. I don't want to speak bad on clients. I'm just telling you the truth and how people think, and I tell them the same thing. You got to get past thinking selling to your current customers is you're cheating, basically, when you're trying to help. Like when I'm trying to help my clients get more revenue in their business. Who cares where the revenue comes from? If you could get more revenue from your current customers than going after new customers, why the hell are you arguing with me that the revenue is coming from one area or another? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're making more money. Of course, we don't want to try to manipulate or hide something, because that's not what it's about. Getting, like Google's doing, getting revenue from current customers that would buy anyway, and then not going after new customers. That's not what I'm talking about here. For you to spend money to try to get new customers when you haven't extracted all the value from your existing customers is just downright silly / stupid for you to do. You start always in your business with the most likely to and easiest thing to get to convert for your business when you're doing online marketing first. Bottom line, that's it. You can't argue with me on that point. I don't care what you say or who says it. And that's just if you want to be able to build up a multi-million-dollar a year ad campaign for your business, you start out with the easiest step to convert, then you do the next easiest, and the next easiest, and you build things up that way. You don't go after the hardest stuff for no reason. I mean, do you feel like, is your ego that big where you have to go after the hardest stuff first? So, and furthermore, if you don't create a really good funnel for yourself and start building that funnel as strong as it can be at the bottom of the funnel, where people are almost ready to purchase or have purchased already, and build that up as strong as possible, when you get to the point of actually dumping in new prospects to your sales funnel, it'll be 10 times harder because you haven't made the bottom of the funnel efficient. You always start with making the bottom of your funnel efficient first, so that when you get to the point of trying to get new customers through online ads, it becomes easy, or easy as you possibly can get it. And that actually starts with current customers that you already have. Then, once you've extracted the value out of that, you get people who are almost ready to purchase and get all the value you can out of that. Then the people that are kind of almost close to purchase, and so on and so forth. Then you get to the people who are in market last. And of course, beyond that, people who are not in market, looking for info only. Then you go after people who are not in market, not looking for info. You get the general point of what I'm trying to say here. That's the way that I do it every single time, and it's done that way for a very good reason. That's how fortunes are made. You take the money you make going after the low-hanging fruit to invest in harder to get to produce stuff, and the bottom of the funnel gets really, really strong, making the stuff that's harder to get to work easier to get to work by the time you get to it. So your customer list, you upload that to Google, and you try to get as many sales from your current customer list that you have. The bigger the lifetime value on average that you get from a customer at your business, the more you can pay to get a customer in the first place. A lot of companies don't even know what a customer is worth. How are you going to plan a marketing campaign when you don't even know how much you could pay to get a customer? You can totally wing it and maybe it works. That's really also dumb as well. Every single client, by the way, that I work with at my agency, I force them to tell me what a customer's worth when I do their proposals, because I'm not going to go into this totally random, randomness and get into it and then have you think confused at some point saying, I don't know if I'm making money, let's stop. And I wasted all my precious time on a client that wasn't serious to begin with. You've got to know going into whatever you're investing in online in terms of online marketing. You could pay to get a lead or a customer, or as good as you can figure it out, because obviously a lot of you guys can't get it that precise, but at least try the best you can. Then when you get into it, when you're going after people who are not your customer, what you could pay, and where you're actually making money, so that you're not just going to slowly drain your bank account, and then everything just becomes simple. How can I get a customer at this cost, whatever. So take your customer list, you try to get as many people on Google search as you can from that, and Google shopping as you can from that, and on YouTube as you can from that, on Google Display Network as you can from that, and exploit all that you can. Get the lifetime value of a customer higher, because automatically selling to that customer list, your lifetime value of a customer will get bigger. And now again, like I said before, when you get to actually marketing to people that are not your customer, you could pay more to get them, which makes whatever you're doing to try to get a new customer, more of it will actually work. Instead of, ultimately you find some of it would work. If you didn't do any work to get your lifetime value of a customer up, if you got your lifetime value of a customer to where it was double before you started going after new customers, a hell of a lot of what you try later on is ultimately going to work. So you take the customer list data and you try to extract as much value out of it as you can for the reasons I described. Now, once you've done that though, customer lists also come in handy beyond that one little simple thing. You use the customer list feature to upload other lists to your account as a targeting option. In other words, you could upload email lists or phone number lists to Google Ads, and you could target those lists through the customer match functionality. And of course, to do that on Google Display Network, you have to have $50,000 of lifetime spend in Google Ads. So you've got to have that up front, and obviously you may not have that today, but you'll have it someday if you follow this stuff I talk about on this channel to make ads work. And that we use to guarantee results for our clients, because that's what we do, guaranteed PPC. With that, okay, I'll talk about the actual opportunities that exist with that customer match list functionality to upload other lists and to be able to make money itself. Before I do that though, your customer list itself, just some basic tips there to extract the value out of that, okay? You're going to upload your customer list, but don't just upload one customer list by itself, what the typical person's going to strictly stick to. Segment it. Customers that have subscribed to your email list, make that a separate list. Customers who haven't subscribed, make that a separate list. Customers who have bought at least 2 times, make that a separate list. Customers who only bought once before from you, make that a separate list. So why do you do this? Simple. So you can make different bid adjustments at each one of those individual levels, which gives you, because of the additional granularity and insight as to which one of these lists convert and at what rate they convert for each list, you could physically decide what's the maximum level or amount I can pay marketing to this specific part of my list before it becomes non-profitable to me. You'll find people have bought, for instance, that more than once from you are going to be 2 to 3 times more profitable per click going after them than somebody who's only bought from you once. So naturally, when you are with your search advertising campaigns where you're targeting certain keywords, you can import the customer list audiences to your audience menu on that campaign, and you can tell Google, hey, I want to pay, or I should say, I'm willing to pay twice as much for a person who's bought at least twice from me than somebody who's only bought once from me or has not bought from me at all. And then, you know, whereas you can only afford to pay so much per click to get a sale from your keywords because it only converts at such and such a level, you're going to get more sales from that campaign because you've told Google, okay, I know this part of the people that are searching, this 5% converts really, really well. So in this case where I know that converts really, really well, I'm willing to pay way, way more, and then your ad basically is guaranteed to show up for those people because you're now willing to pay 2-3 times more in that situation for those unique people, and that outbids other people that you're competing against, and you are now able to show up 100% of the time for people who type in your keywords and that now, you know, have bought from you multiple times. That's one way to do this so-called bid modification process, using your customer list as a way to segment the campaigns you're running. The same thing can be done with any other campaign type too as well. YouTube, Google Display, all that. So create multiple lists and then bid a different amount per click based upon which list they're on of the lists that you individually specifically created. So obviously there's some overlap there as I described it, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is you create the list, right? And if you don't have a very big list, one list is probably fine, by the way. But the bigger the list you have, the more benefit you'll get out of the sub-segmenting it. But then you upload those lists, you add those audiences to your campaign, and then you wait until you see how well that people that are in that audience convert versus people who are not in that audience. And then you can use a bid adjustment on those audiences to ultimately see how much more you should be paying for people on those audiences versus people who are not on those audiences. So you get the maximum clicks from your campaigns while still maintaining that ROI that you need from that campaign, that minimum ROI, or minimum ROAS as they call it in the marketing space. And you do that again on each campaign type. You can do that on Google Display Network through something called observances. You can run a display campaign. Let's say you maxed it out. You add your audience, your customer match list as an audience, and you mark it as an observance, meaning it's not going to target that list, but it's going to tell you how well that list, if people are on your list, if they were on your list and they matched all that other campaign's targeting options, you can see how well they converted if they, versus, you know, the people that matched all your campaign's targeting options but were not on that list. And then you come back after like 300-400 clicks on your ad, or several thousand clicks on your ad, depending on your market and what you're doing. And then you can see how much more you're willing, through your bid adjustment, how much more you're willing to pay for somebody that's on your list versus not on your list, so that you get a few extra clicks out of that campaign and get a few extra sales or a few extra leads while still not exceeding the ROI target that you set on that account, that you basically did everything you can with that campaign to get and while still maintaining the ROI. This gives you an ability to spend more and get more out of it while still maintaining the ROI. See my point here? So you get my general point. That's how you use customer lists to make a lot more money than you are right now, regardless of what type of company you have per se. There's other ways though to use customer lists to make money, as I was talking about earlier, particularly as to do with customers that aren't even yours. Now, This is a ballsy move because this is technically against Google's terms of service with Google Ads. So some of you guys might just turn this off right now. I don't care. But it's pretty interesting how people are making a pile of money doing this. And you might want to just know anyway. Maybe you change your mind at some point. Maybe you do. You have it in your back pocket for later on. I don't know. But to give you some examples of how people are using the customer list feature to upload email lists that aren't theirs or phone number lists that aren't theirs, would be to do other customer lists of other competitors, direct competitors, indirect competitors, totally irrelevant companies that you know if they bought that product, they're 5 times more likely to buy your product, to then power other campaigns that you're running. So that, for instance, if they type in your keywords and they're on that list, you can bid way more for them, knowing that if they're on your list in that case, they're way more likely to convert, and so you get more out of that campaign like I was talking about earlier. As a side, by the way, if, for instance, the main benefit of having the customer match list functionality to make money out of lists that aren't yours, per se, is to, let's say you couldn't get a certain search campaigns to work for your business, it's not profitable. But you can bid really low on your keywords and then upload your customer match list per se, which is really another list of another company. And you could say, if somebody's on this list, Google, I'll pay 900% more per click if they're on this list. Effectively what this does is make sure that your ad will only be shown if they're on that list, because otherwise you're not bidding high enough to be shown. You see how this works? So to give you an example of what we did here, technically, well, I don't want to say us, but a client was doing it, so it's not us facilitating it. Google, you can't come after us. Where it was a car dealership, Mercedes car dealership that wants to sell more Mercedes, okay? We know if somebody's already bought, roughly 10 times more likely to be a customer if they're looking for a Mercedes or a Mercedes dealership than somebody who's been confirmed already to have already purchased a Mercedes. Just because somebody searches for a Mercedes dealership doesn't mean they're going to buy. They bought before, 10 times more likely to buy. So we upload our list that we find through a data broker. Nextmark mailing list is a broker that we use, but you can get lists through a number of other means, which if you don't know how to get a list that you're looking for, contact me in the comment section. I'll point you in the right direction, but you can get a customer list of people who bought a Mercedes before, upload that list using the customer list match functionality, and then now we can bid considerably more for our keywords. In fact, not even having our bid high enough to show up unless they're on our customer list, and now our ads will be able to be very profitable versus not very profitable, because the market rate per click to show up for our keywords is such that it's unaffordable unless we have an edge. The customer list gives us our edge to know when somebody's worth paying that amount to show up, so that we're eligible to show up where it is worth it versus where it's not worth it, given our competitors aren't going to be doing this. Okay, so that's one primary example of how a real case where we actually seen somebody making more money using this kind of thing for their company. Okay, now that's one way to use customer lists to make money that aren't, that customers that aren't yours. Another one would be life events. I touched on this at the beginning of the video. There's people out there that are making a ton of money in the personal injury space, where if somebody's close to a helipad at some point in the recent past, you can go after them hard and heavy with an ad that says you're a specialist lawyer that specializes in people that have spinal injuries. The likelihood that somebody has a spinal injury if they're using a medevac helicopter itself is decently high, over 1% of the time that person's going to have a spinal injury. So as a personal injury lawyer, you could frame yourself as a spinal specialist personal injury lawyer, which other people aren't doing, but you can do, and then you just go after people that have been near that helipad. They can do that through having the user IDs, okay, of the mobile devices that get specifically near that helipad, and then from the mobile IDs you can create an audience with that mobile ID list, so to say. there's databases out there which are called data expansion companies, where you can take mobile IDs and then get email addresses, and then from the email addresses you can now upload your list. And then you can run, so anyways, you can see where I'm going with this. You run your display ads for people across the web that have been near that helipad. Your search ads can now show up if someone types in personal injury law, and have the clicks be worth it, or a hell of a lot. You're going to have way bigger ROI than the other people who don't have that awareness about the people who are searching for a personal injury lawyer, about the type of person that's searching for it. So that's one example of how people are using these customer lists to make real money. Another way is wealth lists. On Google Ads, you can target people by income, but the income targeting isn't what you think. A lot of people get this mixed up. Income targeting on Google, due to privacy issues, or Google could certainly probably do this if they wanted to, but all that Google is doing is they're looking at the average income of each zip code, and then if you say you want to target people with the top 10% of income demographic across the US, they just match you up with publicly available data by income, by zip code, of what the average income is of people in that zip code, if that makes sense. Because the census, finds the income by zip code, and then they just tap into that data. It doesn't tell you the person's income at all. It just tells you that the person's likely to have high income or low income, if that's what you wanted, based upon the statistical likelihood of that person having a high or low income based upon what zip code they're physically in. If you wanted to only target a list of people who had a certain amount of wealth, certain amount of income, the way that you would actually do it is using a customer list of people that have confirmed higher wealth. And then you know that person has a certain income or certain level of wealth. That's another way people are using these customer lists. I'll tell you that you can use these customer lists if you do it. It's very profitable, but Google, it's against the rules, and they'll eventually find out for most people. I've seen it. And so what people have to do is they'll have, they'll lose their right at some point in time, basically. And you might have to start up what I would just say for the people, first of all, the official disclaimer is don't do it, okay? If a person were to do it, I would say do it in a separate account if you have an account that you rely on for a lot of income right now. Because you may want to use your primary account to upload your regular customer data that you have and not lose that feature or functionality. You won't get your account shut down. If they find out that your customer list is not really your customers, they'll just stop letting you use Customer Match. If you weren't planning to use Customer Match, who cares, right? If you were planning to use it, well, you don't want to burn your Customer Match functionality. That person should use a second account in that scenario, if that makes sense. A final way that people I've seen are making a lot of money with customer match lists is where you're using the match list to find for B2B marketing. And the big problem in B2B or selling to businesses is, particularly for people that need to sell to larger companies, is making sure you're getting your ad in front of people that have a certain size of company. Given company sizes and the companies out there, everything is shaped like a pyramid. There's a lot more small companies than there are bigger companies. If you got to target people that are in the smaller top part of the pyramid with your keyword campaigns, such as if you're targeting construction software, people looking for construction software, but you can only sell to people with 100 employees or more. If you target construction software, 90% of the people searching for that does not have a company with 100 employees or more. It's impossible to get your campaign to work in that scenario, if you follow my logic there. So you could either do nothing, or you could use these customer lists to upload a list of buying manager, the company managers at companies that are confirmed to have 100 employees or more. Then you could use the technique I told you about before, where you bid real low on your keywords, but bid real high if they're on your customer list, and then you only show up for people that type in construction software if they're on your list, and if you know now that they're a representative or a person that's from a company with over 100 employees. You could do this to make sure that your search campaigns target people with a certain amount of revenue or a certain employee count, which kind of goes hand in hand, or that you're dealing with a principal at the company versus like a lower down lackey type person or what have you. You get the general gist. It can narrow search engine ads at a different level that you couldn't do by default with Google Ads by itself. Okay? Obviously, it could do the same thing with display ads, YouTube ads, and so on and so forth. So that's another example of these customer match lists, how people are using to make money. So that gives you a general idea of how to make money with customer match lists, the good boy way and the bad boy way. Which, I guess I'll let you decide how you interpret the information that I gave you at the very least here. I didn't mention this comment here that I made, but just to rehash this, for the people that are, with the Mercedes dealership example that I gave you, a lot of these people that are searching for a Mercedes are tire kickers. This gets rid of the tire kickers knowing that they bought a Mercedes before. So it's not good because you might lose your rights to do customer lists, but theoretically, if it wasn't against the rules, it would be a good way to make sure your campaigns are profitable because it gets rid of the tire kickers automatically with that kind of functionality. Whereas you could get rid of the tire kickers anyway if you did conversion tracking, and then with conversion tracking, Google's going to eventually weed out the tire kickers automatically, even without this customer list match. But it would be a way to immediately weed them out and not have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to gather the data for the algorithm to get you in front of the right person who actually does buy. Because like with lead generation, you can actually do offline conversion tracking where you take somebody who, where you track your leads all the way to a sale, and then the people that turn into a sale or whatnot, you can import that back to your account. So eventually, the leads that you're generating, the algorithm gets you the type of people that turn into a sale, not just not so that the Google system doesn't just optimize for the cheapest leads, because the cheapest leads are never the best leads statistically. Or you could just grade your leads 1 to 10, which we often do, and then import that data so that at least the algorithm over time is skewing to get you leads of a higher score versus a lower score. Make a lot more money doing lead generation when you have that extra level of insight for the algorithm to figure out what exactly works for your business. But I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. It's useful for you. And if you liked the video, I'd really appreciate it if you would give it a like and consider subscribing, as I have a ton of other content on this channel that'll help you make a ton of money with online advertising. It's all information coming straight from the source of an ad strategist, not a manager, but an actual just strategist that finds out what works and doesn't work with Google, Facebook, and so on and so forth, and gives it to you for free on this channel. It comes as close to straight from the source as you're basically going to find online. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a strategist that just has a YouTube channel on the side. Therefore, the information is very valuable. If you like the channel and you want to see my written work, you can follow me on my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog, as well as on my column at entrepreneur.com. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days. Ask me any ad-related question that you'd like to ask. It doesn't have to just be about customer match or customer match lists. You can ask me anything you want. I love to give back to my viewers as just, thanks for watching my channel to begin with. With that said, if you are looking for an ad manager that can help you get excellent results on your account, reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com. I'd be happy to give you a free assessment, no risk or obligation, to see if we could possibly work together. I can get you an estimate of how much sales results I can get you on top of what you already have or in general, and I will offer to not charge any fees until we get you a certain minimum results on your campaigns, of which will take care of any fees that I would necessarily have to charge anyway. So you basically don't even have to come out of pocket of what you're paying our agency, because you're already making at least that much on your campaign. That's what we generally shoot for, to be able to do for our clients what we do at our agency. But the caveat is you've got to have something that we can get results on, and that's what the assessment's for. So if you want to know how to get more results, I'll tell you. And if it looks like there are results to get, I'd love to be able to work together. So reach out to my firm if you're interested in that assessment. You can also reach out to my firm and ask and see if we've gotten results in your industry before, because if we have, we can get you the templates that work for your industry already. Assuming there's no conflict of interest between you and a client that we already have, such as if you're a plumber, we've worked in the plumbing space before, instead of spending years to build up results that we have in your market, you can use our ad templates, landing page templates, and so forth that work for your market and just copy paste success into your ad accounts. And it's going to be cheaper than figuring out everything that we had to figure out on your own. We sell all those templates for a one-time fee, and I can tell you what results you would get with the templates before you ever started or even, of course, acquired our templates at all. But we worked over 100. We worked in over 100 different markets before, so the chances are fairly high that we worked in your market already. And you could just shortcut your way to success with what we got. With that said, I'll wrap it up with that. If you're interested in the templates, reach out to my firm at GarrettTPPC.com. And I hope to see you in my next video where we have another good strategy that can make you a lot of money as well. See you later.